So we'll begin practice in comfortable seat. So whatever that means for you this evening, if your body's willing to be in easy pose, then let yourself be in easy pose. If your body needs to stretch out, maybe you need one leg to stretch, the other one feels okay to be turned in, or vice versa. Just doing what you need to look after your body here. And maybe using your cushion or your blanket, whatever it is that you have in your space, to just raise your base, to perch your sits bones on, so you give yourself a little more space, a little more room. And once you've found that spot where you feel you can sit and settle for a while, start to stretch up through the spine to get a little bit taller, reaching through the crown of your head. And then we'll purposely start to shrug the shoulders up towards the ears. Draw them back, hugging those shoulder blades towards one another, opening up across the chest, the collarbones. And then let all that effort go. Shake and wiggle it out. And come to close your eyes here. Allowing for that one sensory door to go offline for a few moments. You'll probably still perceive the dance of lights and shadows behind your eyes. But there's one less distraction within your space for the time being. And come to allow yourself to simply be with breath as it is in your body right now. There's no need to manipulate or change it in any way. And checking in with yourself, mentally, physically, energetically, just notice the state of your being at the beginning of this practice. Whether you feel buoyant and energized or emotional, frazzled, just honoring those things as they are for you right now, without judgment. Maybe holding them tenderly, as though you were cradling a small child, and just love all parts of you as they are. Knowing that what we experience in this moment is not permanent. Like all things in life, our feelings and emotions are of the nature to change. We just have to be willing to let them flow through. Acknowledge them without clinging to or pushing away when they rise up. Also allowing them to run their course and gradually move on. What is it that you need from this practice tonight? Knowing that you always have the option to do or not do any part of practice. Allow yourself to hug the ground if you need to hug the ground. Allow yourself to engage and be playful if that's what you need from your practice tonight. Any and all things are welcome. And hearing those words, acknowledging the impermanence of thoughts, feelings, emotions, let yourself breathe into that and maybe offer a gentle smile. Purposely swallow to clear some space in your throat. Allow your breath to reach a little further into your body. And invite your hands to come together and you'll start to rub them, generating some heat. And when you feel that you've built up enough warmth in your hands, you'll come to lay your hands on your body, somewhere that you feel needs a little bit of extra care. Maybe the hands fall to the heart or the belly. Maybe there's an aching knee that needs a little bit of extra love. Where do you want to feel that warmth and allow for it to radiate through right now? And rather than chanting to open our practice, we'll use 3 releasing breaths to just carry us further in. Finding a nice deep inhale through the nose. Let it go with sound. And 2 more just like that. Notice what little transitions may have happened through those releasing breaths. And then allow your hands to slowly come away from your body, adjusting how you're seated if you feel you need to. And we'll invite the right ear to slowly drop off to the right side. Head getting heavy there. And if you'd like, you could take your left hand and either drop it to your side or tuck it underneath your sit bone just to anchor that arm down and released. Sending breath into those tighter spaces. Invite your chin to turn down and over to that right shoulder. Notice the subtle change on the left side of your body as you do this. And then let it go. Chin finds its way towards the chest and you gradually release that left hand. Let's take a breath here, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And gradually we invite that left ear to roll over towards the left shoulder. And either dropping your right arm off to the side or taking that hand and wedging it underneath your sit bone just to anchor that arm a bit further. Breathing into those tender spaces, trying to get them to release if you're in a little bit of a twitchy place of resistance. And dropping the chin down and in towards that left shoulder. And letting it go, your chin finds its way towards the chest, the hand comes free, another releasing breath here. And taking your time, you'll lift the head so it comes to a neutral place. If you happen to still be in easy pose and you're happy there, stay there. I'm releasing my legs because I was starting to feel a little bit too much compression. So if that's you, change your position. We're not here for too much longer. Keep the spine tall. We're just going to actually activate some of the muscles in the neck and the shoulders to balance things out. We're doing a lot of this these days, head forward posture on devices, on computers, driving, different ways that we work. So the muscles are not being used the way that they should be. With all of that being said, we're going to do a couple of no motions with our head. Just slowly turn your gaze over one shoulder, testing your range of motion, mindfully coming back to center, and then turning over the other shoulder. And you'll do this twice more to each side. You may choose to anchor breath to this experience and inhale through center, exhale as you turn, or maybe not. And after you've done your set of 3 to each side, bring your head back to center. And we're going to do a little yes motion up and down 3 times total. Finding what range of motion works best for you as you tilt the head up. And then we drop the chin towards the chest. So if your cervical vertebrae are complaining, they're a little bit crunchy when you try to drop your head all the way back, just don't lift as high. Find what's acceptable. And once you've done 3 of those head nods, bring your head back to neutral. So this is where a bit of resistance comes in effort to strengthen and release. We're going to turn our chin over towards the right side. Bring the left hand to the side of your face. And what you're going to do here is try to turn your head back towards center, but your hand isn't going to let it move. So you're going to end up smushing your face. And we're going to take 3 nice big breaths here. Just keep turning the head into the hand. And you'll come to let that go after 3 cycles of breath. Bring your head back to center and just notice how that's playing out in your body right now. Same thing the other way around. Gaze comes over the left shoulder, and we then invite the right hand up against the cheek. And as you're ready, trying to turn the head forward, and the hand is stopping it. And you've got 3 breaths here. Letting that go after 3 breaths. Head finds its way back to center and you take a moment to recalibrate. And one last little tense and release. We'll bring the hands to the base of the skull. And you're going to try and push the head back into the hands, and the hands are trying to push the head forward. So you're creating this chain of resistance through the shoulders, through the neck, into the upper back. Offer one more breath here. And then let all of that go. Take a moment to just feel into the lingering sensations. And let's bring our bodies over to all fours, just to come away from being seated for a few moments. Finding your hands and knees, maybe you're using one of your blankets to just pad up your knees if you find your surface challenging this evening. Fan out nice and wide through the fingers. Push into the thumb and the baby finger and feel this little suction cup action happening in your hands. If the wrists are really tender tonight, you could always come to fists instead, just to protect that joint space. Subtle tucking of the tailbone, dropping it down, creating your flat back. And then nice and slow breath and movement anchored together. We offer, let's do 6 cow and cat this evening. So as you inhale, belly starts to drop towards the ground as the tailbone and the head tip up. And then exhale, belly button towards the spine, rounding into that cat pose. 5 more to go at your own pace. Taking your time, maybe your cow-cat moves a little bit slower or quicker than mine. Just trust that your breath guides you through however you need to meet this movement right now. And when you're done your cycle of 6, coming back to your neutral of tabletop. Finding that flat back. And then we're going to reach into our side bodies here. So with your next exhalation, start to walk your hands off to the left side. Pausing when you feel you've met an interesting little edge spot in your body. And then push the right hip away from you. So you get this stretching, releasing sensation moving down the right arm. A little bit of a hug and squeeze action on the left side of the body and a great deal of opening through the right side. Offer up a few nice deep rounds of breath here. Your next inhale, releasing and gradually finding your way back towards center. Settle into your tabletop. Breathe into the remnants of that experience. And with our next exhale, we then walk the hands off to the right side. creating that little curl in your spine, stopping when you feel you need to stop, you've met an edge, and then invite that left hip to push away out to the side, reaching for that releasing sensation through your left arm, down into the ribs, as we get that nice little hug and squeeze sensation through the right side now. And inhaling, allowing yourself to come back around towards center. And let's just take the hips back towards the heels into a little bit of a child's pose, making it your own, sinking in. 5 nice full cycles of breath here. And when your 5 cycles of breath have run their course, bringing yourself back up nice and slow. Hips will drift off to a side as you bring your feet around in front of you and settle in for butterfly pose. So if you've got a little rear tilt to your pelvis, using a blanket or the rolled edge of your mat and wedge it underneath your sits bones so you get a little bit of lift and space to move forward. And once you feel you've settled into the base of your butterfly, we're going to give this about a minute or so. If you feel you need to move to release from kind of the low rib into the low back, let yourself shift side to side. Maybe even do a little bit of a twist and open back if that feels good. Always listening to your inner wisdom. So if movement isn't what you need, then just find stillness. If you need to move slightly differently, then do so. Just doing whatever is necessary to care for yourself in the process here. And if you were engaging in movement, slowly starting to wind that down and settle into a forward fold, the softened version of butterfly, inviting the hips to relax, spine to curl, head to drop if it feels okay. And then take one conscious full cycle of breath and let that be the groundwork to help you continue to anchor and settle in. No straining, no striving. Just a gradual surrender, meeting one edge after another. Allowing for thoughts, feelings, and sensations to flow through. What remains at the core of your practice is your breath, your willingness to find stillness. You'll come to dedicate 3 more breaths to your version of butterfly here. And after those 3 breaths, you're going to come most of the way out. We're not going into a rebound just yet. We're going to change it up and come into butterfly with the broken wing, as I like to call it. So sliding one foot forward and drawing the other one back a little bit. If you can get the feet one in front of the other, great. If they need to be separated a little bit, that's perfectly wonderful too. We're just trying to open one hip a little bit more than the other for the next little piece of time. So once you've figured that out in your body, settling in and exploring that possibility of folding forward again and just noticing how this staggering of the legs, the feet, moves through your body. Breathe softness and love into places that might be striking up conversation with you right now. Finding little moments to simply breathe and release, even if you have to remind yourself to do so over and over again. And 3 more breaths here. Gradually inching your way out. And again, we're not going for the rebound. We're going to trade places with the feet and settle in for this last little exploration of butterfly forms in our practice tonight. Being fully aware that one orientation may be far more challenging than the other, and just making peace with that as well. And once again, trusting in these layers of the yin process and letting yourself slowly explore the possibility of a fold. Breathing deeply. Seeing where it is that you might be able to let go while you're here. Acknowledging that you might be in a blissful state, or you could be on the other end of the spectrum and feel agitated, and that's okay too. It's part of our practice. Just keep breathing and allowing wherever you can. We've got just 3 more breaths here. And now we allow for a ginormous rebound to happen. Taking your time, being crazy gentle with yourself as you scoop up those legs and let them find some form of extension. And maybe you hinge back onto those hands and let the body open up into our little beach repose. Letting wave upon wave of sensation just move through you. Noticing how things may start out subtle and then they grow larger and larger, and all of a sudden they peak. And then there's this gradual little falling away. Everything softens, the noise starts to tone down. Trusting in this valuable place of reset in your practice. And offering up just another breath or 2 in your rebound form before you start to shift. And we lift ourselves up. We're going to find dragonfly pose for a bit of a shorter period of time. So dragonfly is our nice wide stretch of the legs here, having those hips raised up on folded blanket or rolled edge of mat if you need to. And you can shake and wiggle those legs out. We're looking for that deep, achy sensation as it rides up and down from the groin down the inner thigh. If your knees are tender tonight, you could always take your hands and just tuck them underneath the knees for a little bit of support. Let the legs relax. And if this is enough for you this evening, just stay here, breathe. We're not here for too long. And over time, as the body acclimates to dragonfly, you may feel like you want to fold forward and you drop the hands a little bit further away from you. Maybe you start to curl and round through the spine. Maybe you've got a cushion nearby that you can raise the ground up to meet you by resting kind of halfway through. Just doing whatever is necessary to look after yourself here. Beautiful, long, slow, deep breaths, keeping you in this moment. Where you find tension, you try to relax. Three more breaths to your dragonfly pose. And as your three breaths trail off, taking your time as you slowly come up and out. We're going to scoop up those legs, bring them towards center, and just find a nice little rebound spot to hang out. Maybe you're returning to reaching back on your hands. Maybe just sitting upright does the trick for you. Staying with the breath. See if you can relax your face. I almost guarantee you there was a little bit of tension there, maybe a lot. Try opening and closing your mouth a couple of times just to soften those areas. And then we'll come back to center. And we're going to come to lay ourselves down on our sides here. So this is where one support, possibly two, could be really handy for you. So one is going to go between your knees. And if you only have one blanket or cushion, then that's what you're going to focus on, is wedging that support between your knees. The other one could come up top and kind of rest between the head and the shoulder to give yourself just a little bit of support. We're going to soften in here. You could hug onto things, you could roll forward, maybe you want to roll back. Just find a nice side lying setup that feels really good for you right now. And then slow the breath down. Maybe your exhales get longer than your inhales. Maybe you drop any kind of crafting of the breath and settle into what you know to be a natural rhythm here. And just let yourself breathe, relax, sinking deeper and deeper in with every breath, letting all the tension melt away. And over your next 2 or 3 cycles of breath, you expand the inhales so that you start to lift the energy just enough that you'll feel ready to move in just a moment. And all you're going to do is roll yourself over in the opposite direction. So taking top hand, pushing it into the mat, lifting yourself up just enough that you can flip over. I'm going to spin around just so I stay facing you. But find that lovely little supported side lying or fetal position. The other way around, taking care as you settle in and soften back into that place of stillness where you feel held, where you feel you've done what's necessary to look after yourself here. And come to rest with breath as you allow your body to get heavier and heavier with each passing moment. Is there anywhere else that you might be able to release further tension from your body? Stretching out your inhales just a little bit longer for the next few cycles of breath as you prepare to move. And coming into our final pose for practice, you'll simply roll over onto your back, taking your time as you do so. If you've got 2 blankets working for you, maybe one comes under the head and the neck. We're definitely going to take a support and place it underneath our knees. So we're creating a lovely supported shavasana for ourselves. If you have a bolster, that could go under your knees and a blanket underneath your head. Let yourself wiggle and fidget until you find the ideal placement for your body where you feel at ease. Come back to the head and the neck. Allow your head to slowly turn from one side to the other a few times. Eventually letting the head come back to center. And let's bring the warming of the hands back to our practice here. So rubbing them together. Checking in with yourself as you're generating this heat. Where do you need to place that warmth with your body? And when you're ready, letting the hands land. Maybe you're cupping the eyes. Maybe you're holding your heart, your belly, or somewhere else. Breathing here, just feel. Staying with your hands wherever they're placed for as long as you would like. And at some point, you'll allow them to fall away and you find total rest, taking up as much real estate in your space as you feel comfortable. Breath just moving of its own accord. Body getting heavier and heavier through each moment, each breath. And you allow yourself to feel that sinking, grounding sensation moving through. You allow yourself to feel expansive. Feeling the earth as it rises up to support you as you continue to sink down, setting roots, allowing for release. Just this. sounds of the bowls, bringing your awareness back in. Allowing for breath and movement to evolve naturally as you begin to shift from this restful place. Gradually bringing your body back to a place where the spine realigns itself between heaven and earth. Just taking your time as you get there, enjoying that floaty, foggy sensation that lingers from practice. And as you find your way back to that place of sitting, inviting the hands to come and rest somewhere on your body. Or maybe it feels best for you to do Anjali Mudra with the hands at the heart. Taking a breath here. Coming to honor yourself for the courage and the willingness to step on the mat to practice this evening. Offering gratitude to all the puzzle pieces of life that fell into place to allow us to connect and practice as we do. And close practice with a single Om. You may choose to raise your voice in your space or simply use mine in place of yours. We'll take a clearing breath together, deep in, and let it go. To sound. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.